Welcome to Yoga Within Your Home. I'm Darria, and today I'll be offering a class, a Hatha class that focuses a little bit more on hands and feet. So it will be a fairly gentle class, but as with any of our classes, you do whatever you can. Today you may want a strap. And if you don't have one, think of using a tie from your robe or a necktie. And if you don't have one, it won't really matter too much. You may want a block or a blanket to sit on, but if those aren't something you usually use, you probably won't need those right away. So to begin the class, we'll start lying down. So if you can start to make your way onto your back, and just place your body in a way that it can find some ease today. So that might mean that your legs are straight or your knees are bent. But do kind of get the sense that your pelvis is level and that it can relax a little bit. And then feel the length of your spine resting on the floor. And place your arms in a way that your shoulders can find some ease. So you might rest your arms on the floor with the palms facing up, or for some people it just feels better to rest the hands on the belly. Do have some length in the back of your neck. Do let your head be heavy. And as your body settles in, just take a nice long inhalation. And a releasing exhalation. Maybe doing that one more time in your own time. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. Just beginning to make that transition from the busyness of your day to the quieter space of your practice. Beginning to draw your awareness inwards. Getting a sense of your body and how it's feeling today. Noticing how you've landed on your mat today. Bringing your attention into your feet. Just noticing how your feet fall. Do they point more up to the ceiling? Do they fall out to the side? Just kind of what shape did your feet take when you landed? Notice your hands, your fingers. For almost all of us, as we relax our hands, there's a little curling in of the fingers. Just kind of notice the shape of your hands, how they feel. And then shifting your awareness to your breath. And just beginning to notice the feeling of the breath moving in the body. Feeling that sense of expansion as you inhale and that sense of settling as you exhale. Not trying to control your breath, just watching it come and go. And then taking a nice long inhalation and a releasing exhalation. Bring some movement into your fingers, just wiggling each finger, getting some movement there. And then relaxing your hands and moving your toes, seeing if you can get a sense of each toe moving. Then you can begin to bring some circles into your hands and your feet. So circling the wrists and the ankles a few times in one direction and then a few times in the other direction. Letting that rest, and in any way that works for you, coming into a full body stretch. So reaching your arms up overhead, extending out through the legs, pressing out through the heels, getting long, spread your fingers wide. You can kind of wiggle from side to side. Take an inhale, create some tension in the body. And exhale, release that tension. Bring your arms back down beside you, draw your knees into your chest, and rock a little bit from side to side. And then pause at the center. Keep your right knee tucked in. Extend your left leg out along the mat. Hold the back of your right thigh. Flex your foot a little bit and start to circle your foot out in a clockwise direction. And you're just going to think about making those circles with your foot and that they're just coming from your ankle. So we're not swinging the whole bottom of the leg. We're trying to keep that shin straight, parallel to the floor and still. The movement is just in your ankles. And then change the direction, go the other way. Trying to make those circles as big and as smooth as you can. We're building up the strength and flexibility in our ankles, and the idea is that we want to keep a lot of mobility in our ankles. They tend to not work as well as they should, and so if we keep them strong and mobile, start to point and flex your foot now. If we keep our feet and our ankles strong and mobile, then the hope is that, we're better equipped to walk over uneven surfaces and hopefully prevent falls or not fall quite so badly. And then once you've done maybe 2 more of those, you'll bring your knees back into your chest, rock a little bit from side to side, and then change sides. Extend that other leg out, bring the other shin parallel to the floor, and start to rotate that foot out. You want to notice kind of quality of your circles, if it feels kind of weird or chunky anywhere. You want to notice that leg that's on the floor, if it's active, toes are pointing up to the ceiling. Circle a few more times this way. These are really good exercises to do every day, and then change the direction. And you want to think of kind of building up. You can actually count your circles, and you might start at like 20 and then move up to maybe 40. You might notice a little bit of a burning sensation in the ankles or the shins. Pretty normal. And then change to that pointing and flexing. Just in and out, up and down. A couple more of those. And then pause. Bring the knees into the chest again. Bring that left foot down to the floor. And just think about your pelvis being level, but starting to make circles with your leg. So the movement's coming from the leg and the hip joint. You can hold the knee or not, make those circles really big. But you're trying to keep that leg pointing up towards the ceiling. Change the direction. And then pause, change sides, pick the other leg up, start to make those circles in one direction. Could feel really different from side to side. Hips are funny sometimes. Make them really big if you can. Try to keep that leg pointing up to the ceiling so you're not flopping around, and then change the direction. Go the other way. And then pause. Bring both feet to the floor. Take your feet wide. You can take your arms out to the side a little bit. And just windshield wiper those knees side to side. You can adjust your leg position. Maybe your feet are a little wider apart. Maybe they're a little closer together. Don't feel like you're stuck in one place. And then when you feel even, come back to center. Find your strap if you're using it. If you're not using it, you'll just lift your leg up to the ceiling. So start with your right leg. Reach that right leg up to the ceiling. Keep your left leg bent. And then you can take the strap and wrap it around the ball of that foot and reach it up. And then think about walking your hand up the strap so your elbow is straight, but your shoulder is relaxing down onto the ground. And then look at your foot and see if you can get kind of a standing foot. So we don't want our foot twisting off to the side. As much as you can, your foot is facing straight up. The bottom of your foot is facing towards the ceiling. And you're just working here at lengthening the back of that leg. So just taking a couple of breaths here. Sometimes this is a little more aggressive in yoga classes, and we're doing like kind of a super modified gentle version. So keep that other leg bent. And then look at your leg. Try to keep your foot flat like you're standing on it. And think of the movement coming from the top of your leg. You're going to turn your toes out and turn your toes in. So it's not an ankle movement. It's not a foot movement. It's coming from that femur in the hip joint. So you're moving in and out. And then come back to center. Get that sense that your pelvis is level on the floor. We're not turning this into a twist. You're just going to think about taking your leg out to the side and over to the other side. So it's just a gentle swaying back and forth. That knee of the foot that's on the floor is just going to keep pointing up towards the ceiling, so we're not flopping from side to side. And then come back to center. Release that strap. You can always bend your knee and place your foot on the floor, or keep a little bit of strength in that leg and in the core and lower slowly. Pull that leg in and change sides. So wrap the strap around the ball of your left foot, extend that leg up. First, start looking like, do I have a standing foot? Is it different on this side? Does my foot want to twist? Try to be as level as possible. Try to have that right leg so the knee is pointing up to the ceiling. And just give yourself a breath or two. Kind of ease into it. Let that leg, the back of the leg stretch a little bit or lengthen a little bit. And then find that rotation. So it's not a knee bend, it's not an ankle bend, it's just a little tiny rotation in and out. And then you'll come back to the center. Again, get that sense that your pelvis is level, so we're not twisting, and it's just leg out to the side and over to the other side. So a gentle swaying side to side. It's not a terribly big movement. If we take the leg too far out to the side, then this hip will lift up, and that's not quite what we're looking for here. And then come back to center, release, lower that leg down or bend the knee. You can stretch yourself out and just lie flat for a moment and just notice how lying flat feels. If it feels different than the beginning of class, maybe, maybe not. Notice how your feet fall out to the side. Notice how your fingers curl. Notice that your pelvis, your shoulders are level. And then again, bend your knees, place your foot soles on the floor, take your feet about mat width apart in that side to side motion. And then bring the knees back to center. Bring your arms up towards the ceiling. Hold your elbows and see if you can get your elbows right inside the palms of your hands. Sometimes your shoulders need a little more space, and you could certainly hold your forearms instead, but if you can, hold your elbows with your palms. Feet are wide. Your arms are going to go to the right as your legs go to the left. And then you'll pick yourself back up to center and go the other way. And you decide what you want to do with your head. Your head can turn in the same direction as your arms, or your head can turn in the opposite direction of your arms. You can use your breath, inhaling to center, exhaling over to the side. Just a few more times each way. And then when you feel even, bring yourself back to center. Release your arms down to the ground. Bring your foot soles together. Drop your knees wide. Just resting in reclined bound angle, Supta Baddha Konasana, whatever you want to call it. Just letting yourself settle. And again, getting that sense of the breath moving in your body. Feeling that sense of expansion as you inhale. And that sense of settling as you exhale. Taking a few breaths here. One more full breath here. Inhaling and exhaling. Help your legs back up to center. You can roll over onto one side and press yourself up to a seated position. And just take a moment to come into a comfortable seat. So this is where you might want your blanket or your block to sit on the edge of. You might not want it. If you're not using the blanket or block, you kind of move your fleshy bits out of the way so that you can feel your sitting bones on the floor. And start with straight legs and just see how that feels. So your heels are rooting down into the ground, your toes are pointing up to the ceiling. And again, we're looking for those standing feet. So we're not twisting our feet. We're trying to have our feet sort of pressing evenly forward through all of our toe mounds. And then think about spreading your toes as wide as you can, just giving them as much space as you possibly can. And it is a little bit of a brain exercise, so it takes a little bit of practice. And then see if this is really a brain exercise. See if you can squeeze your toes together without curling your toes in. And then spread them wide. And then curl your toes in and make fists. And spread them wide. And squeeze them without curling them. And spread them and wiggle them out. Give them a little break. Still sitting up tall, you can actually shake out your legs a little bit. And absolutely, you could have your hands on the floor beside you. Sitting up tall, press your big toe mounds forward, or press your big toes forward, and pull your other 8 toes back towards your body. And then relax your toes. Bring your big toes back towards your body and press your other toes forward. So away from you. And then see if you can switch that and switch it. And switch it and switch. And switch and switch. And one more time, switch. And then wiggle. Shake out your toes a little bit. Perfect. Give them a little shake. Rock a little bit from side to side. And then I will mirror you here, hopefully. I don't know how this works, but pick up your left leg and try to find the skinniest part of your heel and place that between your big toe and the next toe. And just sit up tall for a moment. So just giving your toes a little bit of space, a little bit of spreading. You know, this is a lot of work just to have your legs straight and to be sitting up tall. So if you need to bend your knees a little bit, you certainly could. If this is super agony, maybe you leave it out. And then release that, cross your ankles. Flex your feet and sit up tall. And then extend your arms out in front of you, palms facing each other. Let your shoulders relax. And this might be enough for you here, like sitting with your legs straight and crossed like this is still a lot of work for your hamstrings. But if you feel okay, maybe you begin to lean your torso forward over your legs. And then once you've kind of gone as far as you want to go, you can place your hands on the floor. You could rest your hands on the legs. You might hold your feet, or you might even find that you can hold the outside edges of your feet or interlace your hands. You want to watch that you're not creating a lot of tension. You're just thinking of relaxing your shoulders, leading with your chest or leaning your chest forward a little bit, pressing back through your seat and your sitting bones so you feel a little bit of lengthening in the back of the body. Make sure you're breathing. Holding the breath is a really good indicator that maybe you're doing just a little too much, so ease off a little bit if you find that you're holding your breath. And then pick yourself up again. Release your arms down. We're preparing for a twist. If you feel like you would benefit more from an open twist or not a cross-legged twist, you could just bring that leg in. But if you're okay, just cross that leg over. Sit up tall. Take your right hand to the left knee. Take your left hand to your low back. Lengthen the spine here. And then think about twisting through the belly, through the ribs, through the shoulders. And then the very last thing would be your head turning to look over that left shoulder. Keep sitting up tall, keep breathing. Take one more breath here. And then bring your head back, your shoulders, your ribs, your belly. You can hold your leg with your hands, sit up tall, relax your shoulders. You have two options for repeating the twist, either the leg side by side, the leg crossed like this, or third option actually is to bend that bottom leg. You might need to wiggle around here so you can feel your sitting bones level. And if they're not level, feel free to use your blocks or your blankets to even out the pelvis. Same idea with the twist, your right hand to your left knee, your left hand behind you, lengthen. And then think belly, ribs, shoulders. Very last thing to go would be your head. as you look over to the right. Sorry, to the left. And then come back, head, shoulders, ribs, belly. Lengthen up the spine. Extend the legs out, bounce them out one more time. Give them a little shake. And then come back to Dandasana, sitting up tall. Feet are flexed, toes point up to the ceiling. Take the heel of your right foot, place it in between your left toes, first two toes, sitting up tall. This can feel really different from side to side, so remember, bending the knees is just fine. And then from here, cross your ankles, sit up tall, reach your arms forward, lengthen up your spine, begin to lean forward. Hands come to the floor, they come to your legs. You can wrap them around your feet. Relax your shoulders, lift your chest, lean into the forward fold. Breathing here. You might let your head go, just looking down towards your legs so there's no tension in the back of the neck. Take one more breath. Pick yourself back up. Release your arms down. Remember, your option is to take that leg in line with your hip if that feels better for your body today, or you cross that leg over. Your left leg is strong, toes point up to the ceiling. We're changing sides, so it's left hand to right knee, right hand behind you, lengthen. Twisting from the bottom first, so your belly, your ribs, your shoulders all move over to the right. The very last thing to go would be your head. You're breathing, you're sitting up tall, you're moving a little bit deeper into the twist bit by bit. And then coming back, head, shoulders, ribs, belly, hands to the leg, lift up tall, relax your shoulders. Either repeat that same twist or bend that bottom leg. You know, you have the other option of keeping that wider position of the legs. Do find your sitting bones here. Like, take that moment. Don't rush. Take the moment to find your sitting bones and level them out, and use the props where you need to. So if I was sitting like this, I would place the prop under my low side because that would lift it up and my pelvis will level out. So you'll take left hand to the right knee, right hand behind you, lifting up tall, belly, ribs, shoulders, looking over to the right, breathing as you hold. One more breath here. Get a little bit taller, come back, head, shoulders, ribs, belly. Hold that leg, sit up tall. And then release. Extend the legs out, bounce them out a little bit. Bring your foot soles together for a moment and rock from side to side. And then from here, pick a foot. Doesn't matter which foot. We're going to do both. All you want to do is to be able to get to your foot. So a couple of ways to do that. You know, if you're, you can always rest it on your blankets or blocks. You can always, if you can get on your leg but it bothers your knee, you can always place those props under there. Feel free to use the props in any way that make you more comfortable. Even sitting up higher on the props might make you a little bit easier to reach your foot, or sit on a chair, whatever you have around the house. We just want to be able to grab our foot. So start by taking your palm to the palm base, palm of your foot to the palm of your hand. It doesn't make sense, but whatever. Fingers go in between your toes. And this might be something that you do all the time. It might not be, but you might find that you can get just the tips of your fingers in between your toes, or maybe you can really wiggle your fingers in so they can get right into your toes. And then from here, we just want to start to work the toes back and forth. A little bit of movement there. Sometimes it can feel a little crunchy or weird. Be gentle with yourself, like don't overdo this. And then start to circle the foot so that you're moving the ankle. And change the direction. Go both ways. And then kind of stretch the top of your foot by pointing your foot And then curl your toes and press the foot back. So you're going back and forth a few times. Just a different movement. And then, and it might be a little quickie or crunchy, super normal. And then a little bit of twisting. So twisting your foot. And then squeeze your fingers into your toes. So you're really squeezing your toes tight. And then relax that. And then squeeze your toes into your fingers. And do the opposite again. Squeeze your fingers into your toes. And squeeze your toes into your fingers. And then release your hand from your foot. Take your hands and just massage the bottom of your foot. So you might find places that are a little bit tender, places that need a little more attention. Just whatever you feel like you need, do that for yourself right now, because it's kind of a nice treat. We don't always think of doing this. And then very often we forget the tops of our feet. So it's kind of hard to show, but you're going to take your two thumbs, take them to the base of your big toe, use as much pressure as you can tolerate, and draw a line right to the center of your leg. And then come back to the second toe. Your thumbs go to the base of that second toe, and you draw a line towards the center of your leg. And then middle toe, just draw down, use as much pressure as you can stand. And then your, I don't know, it's not really a ring toe, but that second last toe. And then your pinky toe. I gotta remember that poem. Anyway, and then you can just extend your legs. Have a look at your feet and observe. Like one might be a different color than the other, might be a different temperature than the other. You might feel sort of tingling or blood flowing in that foot that you worked. Just kind of notice the difference. And then change sides. So again, however you can comfortably get to that foot is what's going to work for you. You'll take your fingers and weave them in between your toes. And you know, if you can get the tips of your fingers in, great. If you can get that hand right in there, that's even better, because you've spread your toes a little bit wider. And then just back and forth with the toes, working those toe joints as much as possible. And then start to turn that into circles in the ankle. So we want to move that ankle again. And then change the direction. And then same thing, we're going to point that foot, really think of stretching the top of the foot, and then flex the foot, pull your toes back. And do that a couple of times, really extending your foot as much as you possibly can. And then pause, and you'll squeeze your fingers into your toes, and then you'll squeeze your toes into your fingers. And squeeze the fingers into the toes, and squeeze the toes into the fingers. Feels a little weird, I know. And then release your hand and massage the bottom of your foot. Just using the pressure you can tolerate, looking for those kind of, I don't know, funky bits, I guess. The places that are a little bit sore, that need a little bit of extra attention. And then remembering the top of the foot, taking your thumbs to the base of your toe, and with as much pressure as you can tolerate, you draw a line right to the center of your leg. And just go toe by toe. So the second toe, draw that line down. Your middle toe. The next one, who, I don't know I forget his name. And then the pinky toe. And then again, extend your legs out and just have a look. Kind of wiggle them, notice how they feel. And then come to flexed feet. So your toes are pointing up to the ceiling. Try to have those standing feet as much as possible. Try to maintain those standing feet as much as possible. So our tendency is going to be to let the feet kind of roll or twist. Don't let that happen. You're going to point your foot forward, point your toes, and flex your foot. So we're not letting the foot twist. We're going straight forward and straight back, and straight forward and straight back. And do one more of those. Forward pointing and flexing. Now wiggle out your feet, wiggle out your legs a little bit. Curl your toes into fists. Be mindful. You might get a cramp here, a foot cramp, totally normal. Shake it out right away. Just let it go. Again, we don't want to twist the feet. we want to keep our little weird fisty feet, and you're going to point your weird fisty feet and then flex them, and then point them and flex them. And one more time, point them and flex them, and then wiggle them out. Give them a little shake and let that go. And then from here, we'll transition into a tabletop position. You can get there any way that you can, or a little bit more work for your ankles. You can cross your ankles, roll over your feet, and walk yourself onto your hands and knees. So take a moment here just to set yourself up. So you want your fingers spread wide. You want your hands underneath your shoulders, and your elbows are straight. You can have your toes tucked, or you can have the tops of your feet on the floor, whatever gives you more stability. It's entirely up to you, but pay attention to your hands for now. First thing you want to notice is, can you root down evenly through all 10 fingers? Like, our tendency is to, it's really subtle, but our tendency is to let our fingers curl and to kind of hang out here. So we want to be strong, press down as we press the floor away, and you're really thinking of all 10 fingers rooting down evenly. Your elbows are staying straight, and you're just noticing how this feels for the weight bearing in your wrists. We don't tend to do a lot of weight bearing in the wrists, so this can be really challenging. So take breaks whenever you need to. Keep your elbows straight, keep pressing that floor away from you, and just start to shift from side to side. So the elbows are not bending, you're just shifting the weight. And you notice how that weight bearing changes. And then come back to the center. Notice the weight bearing in your wrists here. Send your seat back towards your heels, and just notice that it gets easier for your wrists. And then pick yourself up, or bring yourself, back through tabletop, and then a little bit past your wrists, and it's a little bit harder. Don't bend your elbows. Keep the elbows straight, and think focus is on the wrists and the hands. Keep rooting down through all 10 fingers. And then start to turn that into a circle. The next time you lean back, just start to rotate in one direction. Again, with that focus on your wrists. How do your wrists feel? No elbow bending. You're just working the wrists. And then the next time you come back, change the direction. One more time this way. Pause when you get to the center. Change the shape of your hands, so now you're on fists. And just notice how that changes what you feel in your wrists. It's a great modification anytime you're in class to switch onto fists if it's safe to do that for you. Maybe not in downward dog, but I've seen people do it. So start to walk yourself over to one side, doesn't matter which side, but walk yourself over as far as you can go. So you're finding a little length on the side of the body. And then walk yourself back through center and over to the other side. Again, just going as far as you can go, finding a little length in your side body. And then walk yourself back to center. Bring yourself down onto your forearms. And as you come down onto your forearms, you could certainly just let your head relax so it's not straining. Have a look at your hands, spread your fingers wide, and then turn the palms to face up. And look at your hands and notice, again, can you get all 10 fingernails down on the floor? If not, very often that thumb is lifting up. That's super normal. Think about pressing your thumb down towards the floor. Like one day it will actually touch. If your thumb is touching, you're rooting down into that thumb so that you're finding that rotation or that sort of opening through the forearms. And then turn the palms to face down. Walk yourself up to a high kneel. And then just shake out your hands a little bit. Give them a little bit of a break. So shake from side to side. And then shake up and down. And go side to side again. And up and down. And then we'll come back to tabletop. And from here, we'll move through a couple of cat movements, thinking about moving from the tailbone first. So tuck your tailbone under, draw your belly up. Let your shoulder blades spread apart. Press the floor away from you. Drop your head, let your head relax. Keep your head relaxed. Lift your tailbone. Drop your belly. Shoulder blades come together. Chest lifts and you look up. And try that again. Tailbone scoops under, belly draws in, shoulder blades spread apart as you press the floor away from you, head relaxes, and then lift the tailbone, drop the belly, squeeze the shoulder blades, lift the chest, and then look up. And then one more time into that angry cat position. Tuck the tailbone, draw the belly up, spread the shoulder blades, press the floor away, relax your head. Just stay here for a couple of breaths and that really think about pressing the floor away from you, really spreading your shoulder blades as wide as you can. Taking another full breath here. And then come back to tabletop. Tuck your right toes under. Slide that right leg back. Come up onto your left fingertips. Walk your left fingertips forward. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you can pick up the leg and pick up the arm and find some balance. Take a breath or two. Bring your hand back to the floor, bring your leg back. Change sides, slide that left leg back, walk your right fingertips forward. Extend through the arm and the leg, lifting them up. Not too high, we just want to find a little bit of balance. Lower the hand down, lower the leg down. Either repeat that balance, or this time tuck your right toes under, slide that right leg back, walk your right hand forward, so same side, and then in a way that makes sense to your body, see if you can pick up that arm and leg and balance on one side. And hold for 17 minutes. And then lower that hand down, lower the leg down. Find yourself in that tabletop so you're even again. Slide your left leg back. Walk your left hand forward. Whenever you're ready, lift and balance on the other side. And then that hand comes down, that leg comes back in. You lift yourself up to a high kneeling position. Shake out your hands. Actually make tight fists and then resist as you open. So like you're trying to catch each knuckle as you spread your fingers open wide. Spread your hands back or press your hands back. Start from that top knuckle and use some resistance as you curl your hands in. This time as you make a fist, take your thumb to your palm and wrap the other fingers around and squeeze super tight. And then shake it out. And then again, just choose the hand that you want to work with. Make a stop sign with one hand. Think about keeping your elbows straight and pressing out through the heel as much as you can. Take your other hand, pull your thumb back towards your body and curl your other fingers into your palm. So your shoulder stays fairly relaxed, your elbows stay straight. Open your hand wide. Pull your index finger back, curl the other fingers in, see if you can get them to touch. Elbows still staying straight. Our tendency is to do this. It's way easier. Don't make it easy. Open the fingers wide, pull that middle finger back, keep your elbows straight, curl the fingers in, see if you can get them to touch. Totally helps if you make a face because this is super hard for me. Open wide, ring finger, curl the other fingers in. And then again, open wide, pinky, curl the other fingers in. And then shake it out. Stop sign with the other hand, pull the thumb back, curl the other fingers in. Open wide, index finger pulls back, other fingers curl in. Open wide, middle finger, curling in. They might touch, they might not. Open wide, ring finger, curl in. Open wide, pinky. Last one. Try to not bend your elbow. Open wide and shake it out. Probably the last, no, I don't know, can't make promises. One more for the hands. Take your hands to the floor so that your fingers are pointing back towards your knees. And then again, notice, can you get your hands pointing straight back towards your knees? Very often the fingers are turned out. And if that's where you are, just be there. Don't force anything. If you can, the fingers point straight back. Your fingers are spread wide and you're trying to root down evenly through all 10 fingers. There's a big tendency here for the fingers to curl. Again, super normal. You're trying not to, but you're also not overdoing it. We're all built really differently and we all have wildly different sort of ranges of motion. So I'm offering lots of suggestions, like pick the one that works for you. This might be enough. Your elbows are straight. We're trying not to be all scrunched up. You want to be fairly at ease here. If you're finding that you're super happy, you can begin to, I have to take my hands a little wider. You can begin to bend your elbows back towards your body, but really think about keeping the heels of your hands down on the ground. So the point is not to, like here, if you're feeling a stretch, just be here. Or if you're feeling work, just be here. The point is not to lift the heels and bend the elbows back. That's not doing anything. We want to keep the heels of the hands down, but if you feel like you need more, then you start to bend the elbows. Don't overdo any of this. Take one more breath here, and then pick yourself up and shake it out again. Just let that go. And then from here, you can make tight fists again, circle a few times each way. And then walk yourself up to a standing position. So just taking a moment to kind of land in Tadasana, that lovely standing posture. Rooting down evenly through sort of the 3 points of your feet, your big toe mound, your little toe mound, the back of your heel. Think about lifting the arches of your feet. Think about spreading your toes wide. Think about the outside edges of your feet being roughly parallel. And then press the floor away from you. Stand tall, pelvis is level, ribs drop, shoulders drop, chins parallel to the floor. If you're not dizzy, you can close your eyes for a moment and just stand tall. Again, get that sense of the feeling of the breath moving in the body, that feeling of expansion as you inhale, and that sense of settling as you exhale. And then blink your eyes open. Just start to shift your weight from side to side. Again, getting that sense of being just different weight bearing on the bottoms of the feet. And then come back to center and shift the weight forward and back and forward and back. Try not to fall. And then sort of turn that into a circle. So you're off to the side, just circling one way, and then circling the other way. And then pausing back at the center, just coming back to Tadasana feet. And then thinking about, and if you're near a wall or if you feel like balance is off, just use your wall for a little bit of stability. We're going to lift up onto our toes and lower, and lift and lower, lift and lower. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pause. Turn your toes out. And same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pause. Toes in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lower the heels, toes point forward. from here, pick up your left leg, take it back behind you. Begin with your toes tucked and on the ground. You can place your hands on the front of your pelvis and get the sense that your pelvis is level. So we're not twisting, we're pressing forward evenly through both sides of the pelvis. Doesn't work for everyone's feet, but if you can, place the top of your foot on the floor. If you've had surgery, you've got pins in your leg, ankles, this is not going to work for you. So toes tucked is perfectly acceptable. Think of standing tall through that standing leg, pressing down through the top of that back foot, pressing your hips forward a little bit. Lift your chest, open your arms wide, and start to lift your gaze a little bit. So we're not dropping the head back. We're thinking of creating a gentle back bend by lengthening the front of the body. Just taking a breath here. Bringing your head back to center, bring your hands back to your hips. Roll to the pinky toe side of your foot. So you're just stretching top of your foot again. And then roll to the big toe side of your foot. It's a little yuck. And then back to the center. Pick that leg up and step it down. Walk it out a little bit. Shift your weight to the other side. So pick up your right foot. Just start by stepping that foot back behind you. And start with your toes tucked and find your stability and find that sense of being level. So your pelvis is pressing forward evenly. You haven't turned it into a twist. You're standing tall through that front standing leg. If that feels good, maybe you place the top of the foot on the floor. And again, just check in with the pelvis, check in with the standing leg. Lift yourself tall. Begin to lift your chest, your sternum. Relax your shoulders, open your arms wide. Look up slightly. Create that length in the front body to gently bend the back body. Just taking another breath here. Make sure you're breathing. Bring your head back. Bring your hands to your hips. Roll to the pinky toe side of that foot. Roll to the big toe side of that foot. Come back to center. Pick that leg up. Step it down and walk it out. Let that go. Walk to the back of your mat or walk back a couple of feet. Pick yourself up onto your toes or lift your heels off the floor. Walk yourself forward a few steps and then lower yourself down. Come back onto your heels and walk yourself back. Pick yourself up on your toes, walk forward on your toes, and then lower your heels, walk back on your heels. Outside edges of your feet, walk forward. Inside edges of your feet, walk back. It's so pretty. It's my favorite. Outside edges of the feet, and then inside edges of the feet. And then again, just stand for a moment. Relax your arms. If you're not dizzy, close your eyes for a moment. Standing tall. Blink your eyes open. And shake that out a little bit. One more little bit of work for your hands. You can just open your fingers wide and press your hands back. See if you can get a little bit of space in the wrists. And then take your thumb to your palm. See if you can get it to touch and press your fingers back. Open your fingers wide. Take your index finger to your palm. Try to get it to touch and then press the other fingers back. Well, we all have different degrees of mobility here, so mine is not really the best. Open wide. See if you can get your middle finger to touch your palm and press the other fingers back. Open wide. Ring finger touches, other fingers press back. Open wide. Pinky touches, the other ones may be pressed back-ish. And then open wide and shake it out. And then from here, we'll come down to seated. You can come down to seated any way that works for you, or you could try to come down without using your hands, either by just crossing your ankles and sitting, or if you can squat, we'll use a squat to come down to seated. So starting high up on your toes, you might reach your arms forward for a little bit of counterbalance, just lowering yourself down into that squat. And again, here we all have really different ranges of motion. So maybe you can bring the heels of your feet down to the floor. And then if the heels touch, maybe you can sit all the way down and extend the legs out and bounce the legs out again. Give them a little shake. And then bring your foot soles together. Take your knees wide. You can hold your ankles or hold your feet. Sit up tall. Just a little bit of evening out. Might rock a little side to side. Just pause in the center for a moment. Have a look at your feet. You can actually let go of your feet for a moment and, use your wiggling around, use your blocks to sit on if you'd like. But feel your sitting bones level on the ground. Feel your spine lengthening up. And think about really pressing your foot soles together. So like you're palm to palm, but you're squeezing your foot soles together. And just notice how that feels in your body. You might even notice that connection to the hips. And then from here, you can use your hands or not. You're going to think about opening your feet like a book. So using your hands is a little bit helpful if you're not used to the movement. You're sitting up tall and you're thinking that one day your big toes will drop down to the ground. That is clearly not today for me, but you're really opening those feet as much as you can. You press the outside edges of your feet together as you open up through the inside edges. And again, notice how that feels in the rest of your body. There's quite a connection to your hips there. And then choose the one you like better, or the one that you feel you want to do today. And then sit up tall, relax your shoulders, and just let your chin drop towards your chest. So you find a little bit of length in the back of the neck. And if it's comfortable for you, you can roll your chin along your collarbones from shoulder to shoulder. Maybe about 2 or 3 times to each side, slowly, slowly, not overdoing anything. And then bring your chin back to center, sit up tall for a moment. Just evening out for another breath. And pick your head back up. Pick your legs back up. Extend them out. Bounce them out. We're heading down onto our backs again. So if you need to put on sweaters or socks, you certainly can now. And a couple of choices for you for relaxation. If you have a wall handy, you could do legs up the wall, if you know how to do that. If you're in your living room or something, maybe you just put your legs up on the couch or a chair or a footstool and you just let your legs be lifted a little higher. When we lift our legs up, it just has that sort of draining quality for the feet. It sort of refreshes all that fluid that moves in our feet a little more easily. So putting the legs up in any way is always really beneficial. If that's not going to work for you, then you can just make your way onto your back for Shavasana. And as you start to make your way into your Shavasana position, whatever that might be today, legs up the wall or just lying down on your back, again, just look for that place where you can find some ease in your body. It can be legs straight, knees bent, legs up the wall, legs on a chair. Do get the sense that your pelvis is level. Feel the length of your spine resting on the floor. Notice where it touches the floor and where it doesn't. Let your shoulders be level. Place your arms in a way that your shoulders can find some ease. So either on the floor, palms facing up, a little bit away from the body, or maybe your hands just need to rest on your belly. Do create that length in the back of your neck, and do let your head be heavy. Once again, just begin to feel the movement of the breath in the body, that sense of expansion as you inhale and the sense of settling as you exhale. Allow that warmth of relaxation to soften your body. Relaxing your forehead and the tiny muscles around your eyes, softening through the jaw, relaxing your tongue and your mouth. Feel your heart beating. Feel your breath coming and going. Allow yourself to settle into the support of the ground beneath you. Get a sense of the air and the space that surrounds you. And take these next few moments to rest and enjoy a few moments of peace. Time where you can simply be. And slowly, awareness returns, deepening the breath, noticing sounds, bringing some gentle movement back to your body. Perhaps taking a moment to roll to one side and pause there. And helping yourself back to seated. And bringing your hands out to the side and gather up all of the positive energy you've created. And draw it into your heart. Pause for a moment of gratitude. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be happy, may you be well, may you be peaceful and at ease. And thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste.